You're starting at McKinsey or BCG or any other big company? In this video you will learn how to structure your feedback and what words to use if you need to criticize a colleague or even your boss. If you follow this structure, people will appreciate your feedback and have more respect for you. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Hi guys, this is Wolf from Breakfast for Champions. We are startup founders and former top management consulting project leads, and we help you to advance your career and become a more respected leader. This is our second video on feedback, and if you haven't seen the first video yet, there's a link down in the description that will guide you to the series. If you want to provide valuable feedback, especially when it's critical, the most important skill is to know how to structure your message and what words to use. Only with the right structure and the right wording, you have a chance to make an impact and help the person to change for the better. Many people struggle when they need to provide critical but yet constructive feedback. Their feedback is either way too soft to a point where the receiver does not even notice that he's being criticized for a certain point, or is way too abstract and high level so that the receiver does not know what to do with that feedback, or it is, on the other hand, way too direct and so offensive that the receiver is directly put into a defensive position. During my time as a management consultant and when working for Siemens, providing and receiving highly valuable feedback was always an important topic. In fact, my performance as a project lead for Siemens was also evaluated on my ability to provide valuable feedback. So here's a recipe for great feedback that I found very useful. Are you ready? Tip number 1, get the micro yes first. If you've already seen our first video on feedback, you know how to create the general buy-in for feedback. That you usually do at the beginning of a project or even before the project starts. The micro yes is now the specific buy-in that you get right before you deliver your feedback. A sentence that will give you the micro yes sounds like this. I would like to give you feedback on your workshop this morning. Is that okay for you? Or, do you have 10 minutes for feedback on your presentation yesterday? The micro yes is great for pacing. It lets the receiver know that now feedback is coming. And it creates buy-in at exactly this situation, because the receiver can say yes or no, and that gets him a feeling of autonomy. Tip number 2, follow the BIS structure. BIS stands for behavior, impact, and suggestion. And you should use this structure for the main part, the meat of your feedback. Start your critique, start your feedback with an observation of a specific behavior in a specific situation. Describe what you saw, what you heard, what you noticed. Important, cut out every word that is not objective. What you could say, for example, is, I saw during the workshop this morning that you didn't take any notes. Don't say, I saw during the workshop this morning that you were too lazy taking notes, or that you didn't care taking notes, because the judgment in this observation is already baked in and is putting the receiver into a defensive position. You also want to be as specific as possible when you describe an observation. So instead of a general statement like, your presentation in today's meeting was bad, you want to specify your observation much further to, I noticed that during the presentation you were breaking eye contact very often and you were staring back at your screen. By making such a specific observation, you create a very objective anchor point for everything that follows now in your feedback. Next step in the BIS structure is I, which stands for impact. In here you want to describe what impact that specific behavior in the situation that you've just described had on you. And remember, use I messages here because you're only providing the feedback from your perspective. You're never providing the feedback from others. So in the case of the consultant who was not taking any notes during the workshop, your impact message could be, that made me feel like I am the only one who's taking track of the outcomes of the workshop. Or, for the example, where the presenter was breaking eye contact, that made me question how now you really know the content of your presentation. The description of the impact does two things for you. First, by using I messages, it allows you to freely express yourself because what you are describing is a genuine feeling that you had, a genuine impression that you gained. And secondly, together with the before described behavior in the situation, it provides logic for your feedback. Last step in the BIS structure is S, suggestion. You want to finish your feedback point with a proposal to the feedback receiver. And the way you want to do that depends on the hierarchy between you and the feedback receiver. If you're criticizing a colleague, a peer, or even a superior, consider expressing it as a wish. I wish you would keep more eye contact during the presentation. In all other cases, you can put it directly out as a proposal to the feedback receiver. The best way, however, to come up with your proposal is in form of a question. What do you think about taking more notes? In fact, questions are now at the end of your improvement point a very powerful tool to start the dialogue with the feedback receiver. You want to ask, how does that look to you? Or how does that sound to you? How do you feel about that? Or what do you think about that? Tip number 3. Wrap your improvement point with positive messages. If you think of the BAS structure as the meat of your feedback, you should think of the positive messages at the beginning, at the end, as the bun of your message, making it an entire feedback burger. Before you come up with one improvement point, you should begin your feedback with at least one, better 2 or 3 positive details that you liked. That has 2 advantages. First, it increases the chance of acceptance for your improvement point that comes later, and it helps the feedback receiver to build on his strength. So for example, for the guy who broke eye contact during the presentation, you could find a positive detail like, I very much liked the way you handled the disturbances during your presentation. That was very professional. And also at the end of your feedback, after the suggestion, you want to bring a positive message. You can explain what the overall benefit of your suggestion of your feedback is, and you can highlight how the feedback receiver will benefit from it in the future. By doing so, you nicely wrap your entire feedback and provide closure. So there you have it. 3 powerful and well-proven tips on how to structure your feedback for maximum effect. We hope that you find it useful and took something away from it. Let us know in the comments what you liked most. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the channel out. If you find this series useful, you will probably also enjoy our series on how to professionalize your emails. If you click on the screen right now, you can go and watch that. Please feel free to leave questions and feedback in the comments below. We try to react to every comment down there. And if you're new to the channel, we upload a new video every week to help you advance your career and become a more respected leader. If that sounds interesting to you, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. We appreciate that very much. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and see you next time.